Pleasant good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
This evening, we have a few objectives. Tonight, we have a case study presentation, and this week should be our practical week. However, instead of doing the practical activities this week, we will be having our research session, since next week, you will be doing your presentations in class. All right, we've already gone over the practical project in our session last week. However, we will be reviewing it in class just for those who might have questions or concerns regarding that project. I'd like to spend these two sessions, however, going over some of the things that we would have been doing next week, since you will be doing your presentations. All right, so before we continue, I'm going to do our attendance. So when I call your name, kindly respond, and we'll proceed from there. Shanley?
Present, miss.
Tiricha?
Here, miss.
Good night, Tiricha. Shanice? Juana?
Here, miss.
Tiana? Daniel?
Here, miss.
Vanetta?
Here, miss.
Dominique? Karen?
Here, miss.
Martha?
Here, miss.
Isha?
Good night, miss.
Shanika? Zomi?
Here.
Natasha?
Here.
Diona? Gabriel?
Here, miss.
Starla?
Here.
Jalen?
Here.
Annalie?
Here, miss.
Okay, so I'm calling the absentees: Diona, Shanika, Dominic, Tiana, and Shanique. Right? Okay, so far you have completed 2 chapters from the textbook, and we've also gone through the introduction to Unit 3. Right now, you should be familiarizing yourself with the interactive slides that are here on Moodle. We've had some case presentations, and tonight you'll be hearing another. We also have the discussion questions, which will be done in another class. And most, if not all of you, have completed forum number 3. Your groups are currently working on practical project number 3 at this time. And there are 2 benchmark presentations here for you to look at. I'm going to be sharing those with the class just for you to have an idea. Now, your presentation doesn't need to be identical to this, but it's the same assignment question that you have been given that is being presented here. So these students started by evaluating the university website. They had to speak about the MIS, right? So they broke down what the website does, what it's responsible for, what type of information system is being used, and any tools associated with it were mentioned here. Then they went on to speak about the structure of the university, its business processes, and of course, the relationship aspects of the organization and IT. We have politics, for instance. We have culture, which is another relationship aspect, environment, management decisions, And then they evaluated it using a table. So you'll notice their table here. They looked at the effect on the successful implementation and utilization of information systems. And another column, they have assets or liabilities to the University of Belize. Based on these criteria here, the organization's characteristics, they were able to evaluate whether the characteristic was difficult, easy, and also state whether it was a liability or an asset to the university. They went on to evaluate Moodle, Zenegrade, and Google Suite. We use all of these at the University of Belize, whether you're a student, a staff member, a faculty member, we have been using these. They did another evaluation of the 3 tools that I just mentioned. So they looked at the information system. We have Moodle, Zenegrade, and Google Suite. Each of these has a specific purpose. Moodle is our online classroom. We have a virtual classroom. There's notes there. Think of it as a physical classroom. In your physical classroom, you'd have posters on the wall. You'd have assignments. You'd have folders for activities. You would have a seating area. Moodle provides a virtual environment to this physical classroom. We don't have the walls with the posters, but on our page, we have a wall where we post topics. We have meeting notes. We have PowerPoint presentations. All of those are there as if it were a physical classroom. We use other resources like this video conferencing tool, Zoom, to facilitate the classroom session and discussion. We can present as if it were a blackboard or a whiteboard in front of you so that you can see what we're sharing as we speak. Then Zenegrade is used for grade management. It's used for attendance and reports, etc. So we have systems and each of them has a different purpose, right? So that was the first example presentation. And again, yours doesn't have to look like this. This is just an example. The other presentation is, again, these presenters are doing the same content, same concept, but different style of presentation. Rather than using the tables and the charts to elaborate, they have used more pictures. And for each of these pictures, the presenters are going in and breaking down. So they start by evaluating UB's website once more. They decompose that into 4 points that they explain. And they continue to elaborate on the aspects of the page and its usefulness. They go on to look at the tools that the university uses in addition to Moodle, such as Zenegrade, and they're using pictures once more to do this. And they analyze those. They use an organogram to speak about the structure, and then they speak about the other characteristics of the organization in the subsequent slides. So these are here for your reference. If you get stuck and aren't quite sure what your presentation should look like, or just to have an idea, you can visit these slides.
Hi, Miss. Just telling you that I'm in class now, but I'll be in and out, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you, Dominic. Now, you will be uploading this practical project on Sunday, only the PowerPoint, okay? So that's all you'll be uploading to Moodle, just the PowerPoint, because the following week, I think your first class will be the 11th of October. You will be doing your presentation. So presentations will start on the 11th and continue into the other class. So whichever group doesn't get to finish presenting will continue in the other class. All right. So like I mentioned, now that we're all caught up, we're going to start looking at the research aspect. And this is just an introduction to the positivist quantitative survey research, which will be presented to students in a lecture format with hands-on activities on how to select and modify survey instruments to meet the research goal of the study. Your student groups will complete research phase 3 by the end of this week. And that means that you'll complete the survey instrument in an appropriate format to collect data. So we'll just be going over this briefly. let's look at research phase 3. So if you look under learning activities, you'll be able to see that here. All right, I'm going to ask Annalie to read the instructions for us, please.
Hi, good night, Miss. Everybody to hear me. Phase 3, complete the survey instrument. Phase 3, complete the survey instrument in appropriate format and collect the data. Identify subjects of the research, illustrations, and whether you will collect data from students or teachers. For primary schools, it will have to be teachers. Create a Google form with the appropriate questions and share it with me for approval. Once approval is granted, contact the organization where you will collect the data and begin collecting data. You have 3 weeks to complete this data collection, a minimum of 30 surveys. If you are collecting data from teachers where there are less than 30 employees, then you need 80% of them to answer the survey.
Thank you, Annalie. So these instructions have been posted by our course coordinator, and they're a little different from what I had told you earlier. So I wanted to make sure you were given the update. And as he provides us with updates, we go along with the changes. All right, so initially, we were going to just give you the questionnaire, but what we're asking you to do is you can use the same questions, but you are creating your own form. One of the reasons why it's easier for you to create your own form, even if you use the same questions that he shared with us earlier, is for the access that you're going to have. When I shared the form with the class, students would have been either copying it and they had several issues. So to avoid those issues repeating, we're asking you just create your own form using similar questions or the same questions. All right, since you're looking at success factors, he broke down the form into the various areas that we use to evaluate information system success. What we're also asking you to do after you've created that form with appropriate questions, because your institutions are all going to be different. Some of you are doing schools, some of you are doing different industries, you might be doing government sectors. So you will have to tailor your survey a little bit to suit the audience that you're catering for. He also wanted to ensure that you knew this. This is very important what Annalie just read. If you decide to do a primary school, you will not be given permission to interview the students. However, if it's the university, because students are usually at a mature age, you will be given permission to interview university students or give them these surveys rather. So you won't need that permission for the university, but anybody under the age of 16, you will have to get that kind of permission. All right, the form has to be sent to me before you issue it to the organization just for approval. It's to ensure that it represents the university well and that you're not asking for anything that goes contrary to what we stand for. That's all. Once we give you the permission, then you can begin, and these are the quantity of persons that we're looking for. If there are 30 persons that you can survey in an organization, that's great. But if you go to an organization that doesn't have that many individuals that you can survey, then find out what's 80% of their total number of staff, and you survey that number of people. Does that make sense? Oh,
Excuse me, Miss.
yes, go ahead.
So to clarify, this is for the final research paper, correct?
That's correct.
And this is going to be the same survey that you had provided to us, right?
Yes. But all we're asking you to do is to create your own form with it. So instead of
Uh-huh.
using the same link that we shared, you can use the same questions and create your own.
Okay, well, that would be sent to the institution that we're choosing, correct?
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
All right, thank you.
Yes. So in one of the benefits of you creating your own form is that the data comes directly to you. So when you reach the analysis phase of your project, your research project, then you would already have those graphs there. What was happening is that students were submitting the same form instead of copying it or making a duplicate of it. And you would have had data from different persons, which would just contaminate the whole data set. So to avoid that, everybody creates their own. You can use the same questions. That's what we're asking you to do because we're looking at success factors. Where you have to modify questions for the entity that you're assessing, you can. But please send me the survey before you have permission to issue it to the entity. All right, so it's just for me to check and ensure that it meets what we're asking you for. All right, so yes, go ahead.
Sorry, I think I had sent you an email in regard to the survey because one of the questions didn't seem to be complete.
I think I remember seeing that email. Yes, somebody had edited, I think they were trying to edit on the form. I don't remember what exactly happened. But in doing this, you now have the authority to fix those discrepancies that you would have noticed in the first survey. All right. Yeah, so that's it for this survey. This is usually the easiest part because everybody has already selected their organization. And of course, this survey, because you're creating one survey for your group, you can all share the link to different persons in the organization. And whoever is the group leader or the person creating the survey, please make sure that all of your group members has access to view and edit the survey so that they can also see in real time what's happening as the surveys are being edited. That's just to make sure they're all on the same page. So it's just one survey per group and you guys can work on that. All right, let's go back to chapter 3. Okay. So additionally, in the learning activities, we have a research model. Let me just open that in a new tab. And these are the slides I will be sharing tonight. So if you would like to come back to them at the end of class, you can come back and find them here. All right, so just for your reference. So the research model, we spent quite a bit of time discussing it last week. I shared a very short clip looking at the La-Dene and McLean model. And the model really builds a foundation for your research. Other terms that we use to refer to models would be frameworks or theoretical frameworks, and every paper needs to have one. You were asked to read this document in your reading assignment. Is page 198 of the Lit Review article that you were asked to read. And tonight we'll be just looking at what a framework is and what a model is, just to cement that. So in this example, we're looking at a research model. And this group of students are looking at business analytics capability. They look at information quality, innovation capability, organizational agility, and organization performance. So these are the variables that are being assessed. Now, from these, they will be able to come up with certain conclusions, certain hypotheses, and certain statements that will guide their study. For those who did research methodologies, you might be familiar with this. For those who are doing it right now, you might come across this at some point. But the model helps you to make your research novel. Like I said, it builds a foundation, but it gives you a guide. What are some of the things that I am looking for as I study this particular topic? What are the things that I'm evaluating? In the example that Dr. Ryan gave in the research slides, which I will show you in a little bit, he spoke about transformational leadership, and then he broke down transformational leadership into the following areas. He looked at the same things we have here, and he just added transformational leadership in front. So there's business analytics capability, innovation capability, information quality, organizational agility, and organizational performance. So when you have a model, what is being highlighted is that because you have something that is going to guide your study, you're able to add to it, update it as the need arises, and so that it meets the type of study that you're trying to conduct. Now, from this model, he was able to come up with several hypotheses. So you'll notice that between the ovals, we have some arrows, and it's showing the relationship. So business analytics, has a relationship with innovation capability and also information quality. It shows the direction of the relationship. We see information quality having a relationship with organizational agility. And the same thing with innovation capability. And finally, we see that organizational agility and all of these leads to organizational performance. In the Delone and MacLean model, it represents something very similar. They use different terms, but it's the same idea that's happening here. All right, so from this, we can say our first hypothesis might be that transformational leadership will positively influence business analytic capability. We could see that here, right? Transformational leadership will positively influence business analytic capability. We could say it will positively, or we could say it will negatively, but we are, because of this, the type of research we're doing, we're looking at information system success. So we're looking at the positive. Transformational leadership will positively influence innovation capability. Again, we're looking at success. And the list goes on. So why do we need these hypotheses? Again, they will help us to formulate some assumptions, so to speak, before we start doing research. When we do our methodology, and part of your methodology is what you're starting when you issue those surveys. That's the method that you're using to collect data. One of the methods that you choose, but it's a quantitative method that allows you to gather data. And from that data, you will be able to see if any of these statements are true. So this example is looking at transformational leadership. Your study might not be looking at transformational leadership, but similarly, we expect you to be able to come up with some hypotheses, which will either be proven or disproven after you get those survey results. So it's something for you to consider as you develop the model that we spoke about last week. All right, before our presenter comes to us, I'm going to just share the link in the chat, just in case persons weren't able to view that article as yet. All right, so this is the article that we were referring to, the literature review paper. And if you read up on page 198 in there, you'll be able to understand why we use models. All right, so tonight's presenter is going to be sharing with us
Good night, everyone. Miss, can you see my screen?
I'm seeing the click to open Zoom meetings page. you can go over and click on case study presentation tab. It's right at the top, beside that. Just before the UB tab, where you have course facilitators, it's the one just before that, case study presentations.
I just can't see it because it has the icons on top of it.
Oh, okay.
So I can't see to click on it.
Okay.
I think you could pull the icon like to the side so it's out of the way.
I'm trying to. Okay, got it.
There it
Okay.
is.
Yeah.
And then you can click on slideshow. Right beside the share button, the yellow share button at the right-hand corner. Yeah.
Okay, good night, everyone. Today, welcome to our information systems class. My topic for this study case is technology, smart products coming your way. What is technology? Technology, the application of scientific knowledge to the practical aims of human life, or as it is sometimes phrased, to the change and manipulation of the human environment and it's taken from Encyclopedia Britannica. In today's world, technology has been advancing tremendously and our lives have been changing around it. It has made our lives a lot easier through the use of smart products like telephones and tablets, which are made of different brands such as Samsung. And we have also computers, which are of different brands like Toshiba and Dell. My first question is, describe the role of information technology in the product described in this case. How is it adding value to these products? How is it transforming these products? So firstly, I would give you a short summary of what the study case is. And the study case described running shoes, electric smart meters, and smart gas meters, which use information technology differently. The Under Armour brand is trying to enhance its performance through clothing and digital technology. In this case, it would be shoes. The company now sells connected running shoes. The shoes come in several models and features a built-in wireless Bluetooth sensor that tracks cadence, distance, pace, stride length, and steps. Even if the runner does not bring a smartphone along, the data can store on the shoe until they can sync wireless to Under Armour's Map Run Map. There's an application for iPhone. It also have iPad and Android devices. Users can also connect the app on third-party devices such as Apple Watch, the Garmin, or Fitbit to incorporate metrics such as heart rate that cannot be tracked by the shoes. The shoe analytics will let users know when it's time to purchase new shoes and sensor batteries that has to be charged. The Under Armour has recently added a digital coaching feature for the connected running shoes. And Map My Run app, runners will be able to monitor their gait and stride their length of mile after mile and see how that impacts their pace and cadence. By analyzing these data along with data about the runner's age, gender, weight, and height, the Map My Run will be able to provide a runner with tips on how to improve his or her pace and splits by taking shorter and longer strides while running different distances. The Under Armour also created an in-app ads, including ads from other companies, and purchase from ads users referred to its product. This brand and other brands are engaged with potential and existing customers. For example, MyFitness collects data about a user's name, email, address, birth, location, and performance, also their profile, if the user connects the app using social media. One of the things that the Under Armour does not do is sell identifiable personal data about individuals to third parties, but does provide advertisers with aggregate information about app users. Therefore, the Under Armour is hoping that daily use of these smartphone apps will build stronger ties to customers that will lead to stronger sales and its own footwear. So it will be another athlete gear. The company is clearly benefiting from bringing the power of software to its physical products. We also have the smart meter and the smart gas meter, which it was incorporated from 2017 to 2020 by the company of Edison. And these smart meters is a digital meter that communicates between residents or business and through this company a secure wireless communication network. The meters record and transmit each customer's energy consumption regularly throughout the day. It is very efficient. The smart meter transmits data to a system of access points on unit poles, which send the user information to the company. The smart meter will let the company know when a customer loses service, resulting in a faster repair. It will also provide real-time billing information to customers based on energy usage, engaging them to pinpoint areas of energy savings. They will also permit more definitive voltage regulation, enhancing electric disturbance system efficiency, reducing cost, and providing savings that ultimately get reflected in lower customer bills. So the data from the new meters will let the company set price based on consumers' time and level of use. Now, maybe the charges that they make may vary because of different weather, especially when it is hot. Many people may turn off their ACs or conditioners, and overnight or maybe in the night it gets chilly and they cut it off. So the use of the energy will be less. The company of Edison customers can use an online My Account dashboard with tools to track their daily energy consumption. They can analyze their usage by comparing hour to hour, weekdays, or even weekends or day to day, even to see where they can save, and they can receive high bill alerts if they are using more energy than usual. The company of Edison also offers a mobile app for iPhones and Androids as well, or smartphones users, so that they can track their detailed energy usage while they are on their way at work or on vacation. Information technology adds value to such products by, for example, the running shoes, adds value by providing the users with information such as the health rate, as I mentioned, running rate, and clear idea of their fitness level. The electronic smart meters and smart gas meters from Edison Company provide customers with a service that is very fast in repairing and provide techniques for the customers to use less energy and benefit by reducing their cost, which is really amazing. How is it transforming these products? Information technology is transforming these products by being smarter and improving every day. And the company creates a reliable relationship with their customers with the different sensors and characteristics that they have. They also provide sense of relaxation and dependability on such products. How are they changing behavior of users? These smart products are analyzed and relating every detail from customers, and it provides brands with their information about customer needs and create a relationship between them. The brands create advertisements that are related to the customer's needs and have customers purchase their particular product. It makes customers think that they need that product and for a specific purpose. This tennis, for example, could have only been for wearing and not for fitness purpose, but because there are customers to whom fitness is important, they would customize and link that product to the customers, influencing them to purchase it. How does it apply to Belize? In Belize, the topic that we discussed would be at a much smaller scale due to a small population. Nonetheless, technology is slowly being evolving compared to a couple of years ago. Slowly, we are adapting ourselves to what is out in other countries. We bring in different brands from those countries. New devices such as smartwatches and AirPods are now part of our new smart technology, and we are influenced by how these items function and their characteristics and brands. By our telemedia agencies, we have products that are smart products that we purchase, like the BTL and Smart. BEL has also made changes before. There were employees who registered the meter numbers on paper. Now they are using machines to do so. Soon they will no longer need employees to visit homes to do this job. If the smart electric meters that can help in advising customers and create alert of high electricity consumption is implemented, which would be a very good smart device for our homes. Are there any ethical issues raised by the smart products, such as their impact on consumer privacy? It says explain your answer. The ethical issues raised by these smart products are keep information private, have user consent for different information or have access to photos, for example, have a non-disclosure agreement with personal information. The Under Armour does not sell identifiable personal data about individuals to third parties, as how the study case mentioned, but it does provide advertisers with information about app users. This is the end of my presentation. Any questions?
Okay, while the class is thinking about what they'd like to ask you, very good presentation, Karen. I could see that you really did quite a bit of research, and I like that you were able to use BEL as an example in this case study as you applied it to Belize. Were you able to get the name of the system that Running W is using?
No, miss, they're coming tomorrow.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're coming tomorrow, but I will definitely ask them.
Okay. So I would like to ask the class a few questions. So from the presentation that Ms. Karen just gave, what do you think is the internet's impact on competitive advantage? She gave several examples here. But how does the internet help these organizations to have a competitive advantage?
Miss, would it be like maybe advertisements or something of that sort with the companies, in the sense that no companies have a Facebook, Instagram, I don't know what else, and people are able to actually, and they have websites as well, a website, and people are actually able to communicate with someone from the company using the website. Like they have little bubbles, if not all companies do it, but some do, where you can just speak to a customer service representative.
Okay, so Natasha gave us several good examples there of how companies are using the internet for their advantage. Why do you think this is beneficial, having someone that you can speak to and get a quick response pertinent to the issue that you have when you're trying to speak to someone from a company? What benefit does that have?
Well, because sometimes you just, I don't know, I'm thinking about an example, like let's say for a bank, for instance, there was some issue with your debit card. Because we all know sometimes in Belize, the machines, they give issues. So maybe they swiped your card 3 times. It said that it was declined, but when you check your account, you're seeing that it's still showing that 3 transfers is supposed to take place. And being able to speak to a customer service representative through online, you're able to deal with that matter without having to even step foot into the bank or asking for time off from work if you're working, or maybe if you live in the village or district or a good distance away from the nearest bank, your branch, you don't have to leave your home. So and you get to deal with the problem immediately, versus if it happened, I don't know, during the weekend or on a Friday, you don't have to wait until Monday for it. That's an example that came to my mind. But it's just to have quick response.
Right. So when we're looking at Porter's competitive forces models, one of the aspects has to do with customers. And customers need to know that they're valued and appreciated. And Natasha gave a very good example. I don't know how many of you have been in a situation similar to that, or for me, it's going to the ATM in Belmopan and the ATM deciding to show that I received the money, but I didn't actually get it. And that has happened to me too frequently. So it makes me very reluctant to go to the ATM. So I prefer to just pay from my card if I have a transaction to make. However, the bank has their online portal, and you can go and make your request for help, and they get back to you as soon as they're able to. So I agree with you that having that presence does help, because in the past we had to join lines, you had to go and wait to see a customer service agent, and sometimes we're not always able to do that. So it does add value in that way, and customers are going to appreciate the fact that they have they appreciate the effort that you put into them. So if they see that you're making the effort to respond to them in a timely fashion, that you show that you care, it's going to establish some level of loyalty. And even if your service is not as good as the next person or the next bank, they will come back to you because they'll remember how you made them feel. And so that's one of the things we see there. So another question for you guys: how do you feel about your data being shared with other persons? We use several applications online from time to time. Some of us are on TikTok, some are on Facebook, some of you have the Apple Watches. Most of us, if not all of us, have a smart device. And all of these produce data which can be sold or given to other entities. How do you feel about your data being shared with other organizations, or other entities.
That's the part that I do not like, because I have yet to have an experience where it actually turned out in my benefit.
Okay.
But that's the only part that I don't like, because I didn't know that they had all rights to do something like that until it was too late. Because I get all kinds of emails now, but I don't like them sharing out information, because yes, they do give you suggestions, but majority of the time, from my view, it's not something that I would look into or interested in.
Okay. And so this is what happens. One of the social media applications that has become very popular almost overnight is TikTok. And you'll notice that even if you didn't select some of the videos that you are receiving, or the category of videos that you're receiving, what they do, they pull data from other social media applications and other applications that you're also affiliated with. So once it's on the same device, they look at the types of activities that you commonly perform, and then they give you suggestions based on that. So you have to read the fine print before you accept some of these applications. Another thing, yes, Sulmi?
No, I wanted to say that happens with Instagram. Like, I noticed that as soon as I start watching a series, then on Instagram, a lot of memes and pictures of that series pops up, and I'm like, how they know that I'm watching that series?
This, I honestly, sorry, as well, I honestly believe too, your phone is actually paying attention or listening to you when it's just there sitting, not paying attention, or you're not using it or anything. Because the same thing that she said, I swear I could be watching a series, and when I go on my phone and I'm in Snapchat and watching the reels and stuff like that, all of a sudden I'm just seeing all kinds of things related to whatever I'm watching on the TV, and it's not connected to my email that's on the TV is not connected to what's on my phone. So I feel like the phone is listening to me as well. That's just something. I don't know.
That's true, because sometimes you can even just be talking about something and then it pops out on your phone.
Yes.
So you have had first-hand experience with this. And so based on that, you will be able to say, okay, I do or do not appreciate my data being shared. Now, in the examples that Karen gave, the user would have to give consent. And of course, they have advertised it in such a way that you would want to give them your data, because they're saying it's going to help with tracking your health and give you all these benefits that she listed a while ago. But we do see in other scenarios outside of the case study that she presented, where sharing your data can be harmful. There was a couple of years ago, I was doing a study on information systems security, and we were looking at smart card transactions. And so these researchers, Villa et al. And Roland et al., they did a simulation of what they call a relay attack. So what that is anybody who has, the smart card, that you can just go, your debit card or your credit card, you can go and just tap and pay. Well, they created a device that allows you to extend the proximity, so they could clone your card. And using their phone, most of your phones have what you call an NFC chip inside, and you can check your settings and see if your phone is NFC enabled. But most smart devices now are NFC enabled. Initially, when NFC came out, it was for you to just transfer all your contacts by just putting phones together, right? So it was supposed to be close range connection, less than 10 centimeters apart. But these researchers were able to expand that range. So if you pass with your credit card or your debit card to go pay, they would clone your card and they would use their phone, tap it on the payment card registered at the point of sale, and there it would just act as if it were the same credit card that you, Zolmi, might have had. So they were doing this with contactless cards. And they were saying, well, what if we, other researchers were saying, okay, using the same idea, what if we were able to use people's phones and find out what their interests were? And on billboards, those large digital billboards, we just display advertisements as people walk by based on their interests. So what do you think would happen for the father who is with his 5-year-old child and he watches pornography on his phone? What do you think would be displaying on that billboard? How comfortable would he be in front of his child? You understand? So researchers saw that, okay, this is a nice idea, but there are certain contexts where this could create a bigger problem. And it does create a breach of privacy because some of the things we do, we don't necessarily want it advertised all the time. On the big screen, how would you feel if whenever you're passing one of the supermarkets, everything that you do on your phone, just like, you know, like how you have those random playlists, they just decide to randomly advertise one of the things you do on your phone. How would you feel about that?
Miss, it would be inappropriate, and like you said, it depends on what you're doing on your phone at that point in time, and if everybody around can actually pinpoint whose phone it is that's being the advertisement is for.
Exactly. So advertisements and sharing your data, it does have its benefits, guys, but it does have some drawbacks. Just before I came into this class, my husband was showing me an Facebook message. So there's a friend that we have in the States, and he's always selling stuff online. And we saw some items he was selling the other day. And so my husband said, come and look at this. So there is, he's showing me the post, and I said, yes, you showed me this already. What's the point? So what was happening is that someone actually cloned the person's page. They created a fake ID with his picture and everything, selling products. And the genuine person, the authentic person caught up, and so he posted a picture saying, if you see this page, you see this name and whatever, it's not me. I am not moving from the US. I'm not selling anything. So apparently somebody is using his profile to scam other persons. So our data is out there. People can use it, sometimes not for good reasons, and we have to be very careful. But data can have some benefits to organizations. I'm not trying to scare you. It can have some benefits, and it can save lives. It can help us to have a competitive advantage in the industries that we're interested in. And it can provide opportunities for future expansion and for the survival of other industries. In Karen's explanation and in her presentation, she showed us how when one organization was able to collect data, they could have shared it with another organization, which allowed their product to even improve or be better or provide better services for their clients. And normally that is what happens. We get the information and we share it with relevant entities who can benefit from it. And so we want to look at data for its benefits, not the way that it can harm us, but we must be mindful of how we share our data and what we allow to be shared. So as you accept some of these little notifications for application, as you accept the applications and some of the little tick checks that they ask you before you visit a website, read the fine print and see what it's asking you or see what it allows you to share. Because sometimes some of these can be harmful, other times they can be for your benefit. All right, so any questions at this juncture? All right, so the link I shared in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, is just for you to go ahead and read up on the models of literature, the models as we prepare our literature reviews. It's just a reminder and a refresher for you as you work on your chapter 2. So as you go through, you'll be able to fine tune that chapter throughout the semester. What I shared with you tonight is for you to also use towards your research paper, which is the research questions. Those questions you will develop in the Google form. Share the form with me so that I can approve it. And then you go ahead and share it with the organization that you've been in contact with. When you get back your data, you'll be able to use that for your analysis phase. But we want to make sure that you have all the things you need as you continue to develop your research paper. All right, so we are going to wrap up here this evening. And I am going to see you guys on Thursday. And Thursday, we're going to be spending a little time going over the chapter discussion questions and delving a little bit deeper into other aspects of the research project. All right, you guys have a wonderful rest of the evening, and I will be here just in case you have questions after we dismiss.
Yes, Miss. I have questions.
Okay.
Thank you, Miss. Have a good night.
Yes, you too.
Good night, Miss.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Miss.
Good night, Gabriel.
Miss, I just saw a question about the same thing that I emailed you about earlier. How exactly can I re-access the one, I don't know how to call it, the link